First, I want to thank you for inviting me back. I'm Sandy Anderson, and I'm from the Miracle House. I am once again the president for the fourth year there. They just don't seem to want to choose somebody new yet, so I guess I'm doing okay there. Miracle House is a halfway house for women 18 and over recovering from addiction. We started out basically just alcoholism, but we've expanded into addiction because that seems to be the bigger problem. It's a safe environment for the women to transition back into the real world. They pay a rent of $110 a week. However, we do not turn them away if they cannot pay, when they are coming in. They're required to get a job. They do household chores, and they follow simple rules such as signing in and out. They do have to be out by 8 a.m. in the morning, either working or applying for jobs. And they have to fill out a job search form so that we actually think they're doing it or know that they're doing it, even though most of them spend the time at the library on the computer. They have to be home by 5:45 or earlier if they are cooking. Some of the women that come in there do not know how to cook, so be careful if you ever come for dinner. We do help them, and we teach them. We're just there to support them through this transition. We do have meetings 6 nights a week, and they are all required to be at those meetings. And the meetings are open to the community. Unfortunately, lately, our meetings attendance seem to be low, and I don't know if that's with all the other places at this time, or because it was summer, they're out of town, they just have better things to do, or they don't care enough to get well right now because it's nice outside. It's not cold, they don't have to worry about those things. Right now we have a full house. We have 5 residents, and so we're starting a whole new trend because our last 5, they were dribbling out one by one. 3 of them went to a sober living home that is available in Des Plaines. One of our meeting goers bought this house and has rooms for rent there. And they just don't have rules there. But they stick very close. It's right there in Des Plaines so that they have their community and their fellowship around them, which is a plus for us. Last Saturday, we volunteered in Palatine for the Kiwanis Peanut Day. It was a very long day because we only had 5 volunteers, so 2 of us were there the entire time to keep the others, safe. And we're kind of supervised by the police. They come by quite frequently to make sure we're on the right lines. And they split their their donations with us 50-50. Next Saturday, we are having a new fundraiser. We're trying something this year. It's a Fall Festival Bake Sale. It'll be at Miracle House. There'll be pumpkin decorating for the kids, apple dunking. We have masks that they can decorate. And then we're going to have a bonfire for s'mores. We're supplying hot dogs and hamburgers and chips. And then for desserts, we're asking them to buy from the bake sale. We'll see how much this might bring in for us. The entry fee is a $5 donation. They don't have it. They don't have it. They come in anyways and enjoy the day. So if you have kids or whatever, you want to stop by and have some fun. We are asking for $5,000 this year to offset our deficit in rent payments. That in the past 2 months, we have almost $1,100 worth of lost rent for those that either drank or left because they couldn't pay, because Normally after they reach $440, we ask them to leave because then they're just using the house as a place to stay because they have nowhere else to go. But they haven't made an effort to get a job or made any goodwill offerings. Even tell them, even $20 will tell us that you're trying, that you really want to be here. But we have to protect the house also. We can't go completely under just because somebody doesn't want to pay. I attended I think it's Narcan training session. Richard was there that night, and so I've had the training, and we did get some supplies, so we will have them on the premises. We do have a board member that is certified, and she's going to train the board and our managers on the 29th of October, and she also has supplies for us so that we have plenty of supplies there. We're very fortunate we have not had any issues with overdosing at the house, but I want to make sure that we are prepared in this situation because it's just rampant out there. I wish we could do more, but you can't make them get better. We try, but you can't, no matter how much we talk. Let's see. This year we had to purchase a new dryer. I think that was our biggest purchase. And right now we're waiting on to see whether or not we have to get a new stove because the 2 pilots have gone out or whatever electric things. But our stove is very old. That's one of the appliances that we have not had to replace yet. Yes. Okay. Dryer.
Dryer, I'm sorry, okay. So you need both?
Yes. Well, we did purchase the dryer. And let's see what else is coming up. Last night at our board meeting, I found out that this is for the 3rd month in a row. We are, $10,000 in the red for the last 3 months, every month. So, anything that we can get, any help, any donations, with our meeting attendance down, that's where we get our donations from. I can see that there is a problem still there, but we just have to tighten our belts a little bit, and we're going to do this fundraiser, and we're going to try another one in January, chili cook-off, I think they were talking about. And then, of course, we have our big fundraiser in February, which this year is our 25th anniversary. So we have stayed alive for 25 years, and we hope to continue. We did go look at a place this year. It was out on River Road. My biggest concern was flooding, and that was my concern. Their concern was, we don't have the money. I didn't realize that before we went to look at this. We had backing before we bought the house from Queen of Rosary. We don't have that backing, so, I'm not sure whether we could get a mortgage or not. We were told probably not. And so we let that place go. It would have been bigger, would have had a parking lot, would have had separate rooms for meeting rooms and stuff so that it's not right in our home. But Miracle House is a very, very comfortable place. And it may be small and tight when the meetings are full, but it's worth everything that we have to put into it to keep it nice, keep it a home, and let these women get better. That's all I have. Questions?
I have a couple. So you said you have a full house now, and there's 5 residents, right?
Correct.
And you typically serve 15 for the whole year, or that's what you did?
Right.
Last year, right?
Right, last year, and right now we are at 21 for this year.
For this year, okay. And then your comment was that once they get to $440, they leave. That you encourage them to leave. So I assume that's 4 months, because it's 110 a month.
That's
so
right.
That must be
That's
4
right.
months. So they're welcome to stay up to 4 months.
Up to 4 months. They're allowed to stay for as long as they need.
Okay.
As long as they're paying something towards the rent and whatever. We don't ask them to leave until they feel comfortable.
Okay. And then when they have these meetings at night, you also welcome the community in too?
Yes.
When you're
Yes.
saying that people aren't showing, is it, they're required to, the women that are there, the 5 residents are required to
Oh, yes, they have to be at the
So
meeting.
it's the other people that aren't necessarily.
Whether people show up or not, we still have a meeting, even if it's just with the residents and the manager.
Okay.
And usually 1 or 2 board members are there for every day, or, each day there's a board member. We are trying to, as of November 1st, because I understand that some of the reasons, like on Tuesdays and Thursdays especially, our meetings are at 8 o'clock. And we're being told that they're too late because they go for an hour.
Told that by?
Meeting goers that used to come, and now they're going other places because their meetings are a little bit earlier. So we're changing our hours to 7:30, the start time. And hopefully that'll bring some of the people back to us. I can't deny it. I was one of them. That 8 o'clock I used to start work at 6 a.m. So by the time you get there, everybody's done talking or whatever. It's 10 o'clock by the time you get home. So we're going to try something new and, see if this works out. Because our 7:15, our Wednesday meetings are 7:15, and it's always full. Always. So.
Fundraiser now? You said your October fundraiser?
One is next Saturday, or this coming up Saturday the 6th.
Saturday 6th.
Can I ask you, first of all, congratulations on doing this additional fundraising. I think that's awesome. You are literally one of my favorite agencies because you are the most self-sufficient and really have this stick to it, and every year have really hardly ever requested like any kind of extreme amount. Would you be willing to take $8,000?
I would take,
I tried.
don't mean to, I don't want to, even 5,000 was hard for me to ask for.
No,
So,
last year I tried to, I know.
yes, and it's like,
Right, every year I say.
Every year we tell you to ask for more, and you
That's
right.
humbly put 5,000 every year.
A welcome and refreshing thing.
absolutely, it would be.
Given your self-sustain, you're a role model to all agencies. So my next 2 questions are really in terms of trying to help. We might end up with some extra donated furniture, mattresses, things like that from the landings fire.
Mm-hmm.
And people out in the River Trails condo fire from Wheeling.
Right.
Would you guys be interested?
Actually,
I don't want to dump it on you if you can.
no, we just got, I think it was a year and a half ago, we had got a grant from, all I remember is her name was Rosemary, and she's from Des Plaines.
Oh.
And she bought all new mattresses for the house and new furniture for the living room. So everything is actually pretty brand new.
All right.
But that would be, we always look at that too.
And my other thing was, have you ever talked to or met Marty Cook?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because he's, I know you're moving into the drug addiction.
Right.
That's his big area with opioids. So I congratulate you on doing that. Are you finding in your people that it is cross addiction with alcohol and?
Yes, absolutely.
And you're also one of the only places that takes children, right?
Well, they have to be 18.
Oh, I thought women with families, if they had
No, unfortunately, we wouldn't have the space for that.
oh, that might be. And you're limited to 5 because
We're limited to 5. Hmm.
and that building cannot grow out, right? And
Not yet. We keep trying.
no, I mean, is there space?
Yes, there's space on the property.
There is.
But because it's on I think it's called a TIF.
Oh.
Des Plaines won't let us do anything. They won't let us expand. But I am going to their city meeting, I think it's on the 11th, because they say all kinds of changes are coming. So I want to make myself available to be there to find out, to make sure we're not getting kicked out because of the TIF, like it did downtown Des Plaines. Yes.
So you said that there was, you had previously had backing from the Queen of Rosary, but that's no longer. Can you comment as to why? And did I hear you say you're 10,000 every?
Taxes. It might be just that time of year that more has come out of our budget at that particular time. Because I think we'll go back up again.
And what about Queen of Rosary? What happened?
Queen of Rosary, they did say they would not sign on for another mortgage. We almost, I think we're down to like less than $1,000 that we owe, maybe $1,400, and then we'll be paid off, and then the home will be ours free and clear.
How much do you need to make it free and clear?
I think it's like $1,400 or something like that. Yeah, we don't really owe that much to them anymore.
And then your taxes are exempt, or?
We pay taxes on our garage. Don't know why. On the garage. The house and the property is, tax exempt, but we do pay taxes on the garage.
Else?
Just two more quick
Trustee
questions.
McKenzie hasn't had.
Okay.
I might have missed this, and I apologize for coming late.
It's okay.
But what is Nalcon?
Narcan.
Narcan?
Oh,
I
it
think
says
it's just a
N-A-L-C-O-N.
Yeah, I might have spelled it wrong.
Okay,
I
so
couldn't
it's
remember.
Narcan.
That's the
Drug?
drug to inject after an opioid overdose.
Just real quick, when you say you service 200 to 300 in the past 12 months residents, but you have five, I'm confused by that.
That's not residents, that's the community. When they come in for meetings and whatever.
Oh, okay, so when you say, okay, so the question was how many Maine Township residents have been served. That includes the community.
That's the community, correct.
Thank you.
I think I would join in those comments that it's quite commendable what you accomplish on the budget that you have. And as a fellow member of the Knights of Columbus, I really have to take my hat off to the fact that it looks like you squeeze every dime to get the benefit of the people.
We try.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, but I do want to make my early donation, at least, to you. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening, and good luck to everyone. Have a good evening.
and I'm going to pay off the whole mortgage. All right. We are.
Hi, good evening. How's everybody doing? Hi, Mr. White. So we represent the Family Behavioral Health Clinic, and we have been here and graciously accepted before from you all, and we appreciate that definitely. This past year, one of the things we've really focused on, as your previous presenter mentioned as well, is naloxone, which is the reversal drug for opioid epidemics, and having that on hand, we've gone through extensive training to be able to have that ready for future trainings if we need to provide that to any of the residents within the community. We're also serving the community for substance abuse related disorders in English, Spanish, and Polish. So we've been able to serve this community in 3 different languages, which is, the community has taken advantage of that. Also, we are this year as well running smart recovery meetings out of that location as well. So we've really, in the past year, used your support, but also support of others, including our patients, to really take an advanced step forward in trying to help the community in different kinds of ways. We're licensed through the state of Illinois in the Substance Use Prevention and Recovery Department. We're licensed to serve adolescents in the outpatient and intensive outpatient setting, as well as adults. Lastly, I wanted to mention that we ended our relationship with them recently, but we have been offering free services to the senior residents of Brookdale. That's in Des Plaines. They have a Park Ridge location, and we've offered to do that there as well, although they haven't taken us up on that. And we were providing grief counseling for the seniors who had lost their adult children. We went through an entire rotation there in the Des Plaines location, and now we're not doing it, just to be clear. But the management there believes that as maybe a couple of months go by, we'll rekindle that and do that again. It was more residents of Brookdale show interest. I don't want to take up all the time, but I almost neglected to mention DUI. We do DUI services out of that location as well. We do risk education, trying to help families get back together. DUI we found to be very difficult for families to cope with, despite how just it might be. Families have a difficult time when one parent can't drive or has other limitations, mobility limitations, and so we've offered that to the residents of the township as well, and have had a lot of people come out for that service as well. I want to turn it over to Dr. Edgar Ramos, who is our partner there, and he does all the mental health related services.
I'll just repeat what you said. That was really good.
Were you here with us last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you also address whether or not the 2 things that we requested last year have actually happened? You were going to get a receptionist and a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I don't see it. I just, if you can address that.
We do have a receptionist that is there every day. Spanish speaking and English speaking. Psychologist, I'm the only psychologist, and we have 1 psychiatrist on staff, Dr. Mark Friedman, excuse me.
So that is a significant change. In paragraph 34, it says no significant change, because that was something we didn't have last year, right? That we were...
It was an additional psychiatrist.
No, we have Mark.
Able to take additional patients.
Right, because we were having to turn away, we had that whole...
We were having to turn away, that's true. I'm sorry to interrupt. Dr. Mark Friedman has been with us for some time, but his capacity has been limited. That's the information that you had most recently. We have been interviewing and have been unable to secure somebody thus far. But we have been interviewing quite a few people. It just it's a very thin pool, and we continue to try and secure somebody for that.
For psychiatry.
For psychiatry, right? Sorry.
1 more year, and then I'll be. I completed my program for prescription privileges, so hopefully 1 more year I'll be prescribing. Prescription privileges.
For what?
Prescription privileges.
Why can't I get that last word?
Prescription
Privileges.
Oh, like a nurse, like you,
This is
I've never been a psychologist that can prescribe.
Yeah, no, as of, actually I can say I was part of the committee that helped foster Illinois movement in having prescribing psychologists under Dr. Bethram Reiner. It does require 2.5 years of more academics post-doctorate, and then about 2 years of residency in every rotation that an MD has to do as well.
Oh, okay. So are you this person, the Director of Psychological Services?
Correct, yes. It's a nice title.
Yeah, but you're also a psychologist.
I am a licensed psychologist, yes.
If you don't mind if we can jump right into questions.
No, please, go for it.
There were a couple other issues that some of our people were being turned away. Is that happening?
I have no recent instances where that's happened. We've stopped referring people there for psychiatric services because there was not an additional psychiatrist, so I think that's been helpful, but we've referred folks over there for anger management and some other services, and as far as I know, there's been no issues with that.
What about on your end?
No, we take psychological counseling and substance abuse. We take everything and everything.
I know, that was one of our issues, was that you had sort of bitten off a lot. If you recall, it was sort of, I loved you, but you were literally doing everything. And so I think our funding was going towards those three things, DUI and the getting a receptionist and a psychiatrist, because that's one of our biggest needs.
The psychiatry one is the one that's been difficult. We've even reached out to PAs and nurse practitioners to see if we can extend that reach at some level, but it's still been rather difficult. This is going to sound terrible. Psychiatry is a dying field. And if you have psychologists that have the rights now to do that, it's a one-stop shop. I mean, most providers are going to go to a one-stop shop instead of seeking out just independent psychiatry.
I mean, psychologists now, that there's some law that allows prescribing privilege.
Right. Correct.
Oh, it's not a bad idea. So what accounts for the increase of $20,000?
I don't know the financials. We're both providers, so.
No, in what you're requesting from us.
I understand. I think it's volume of numbers. I don't really know that answer, though, and, it's something that, we can likely have answered for you in return. We were told to come here to represent the services provided and not the financials. We're both service providers, so I'm sorry about that.
Has there been, typically, has there been an increase in, it looks to be the same amount of clients served, I think. You've had to refer 100, the 128 clients referred to other agencies. Was that because of the psychiatry or just for other reasons, or do you know? I'm not meaning to put you on the spot. These are...
No. I would say some are definitely due to psychiatry, but not all of them. Some of them require more specialized services that we can't tailor to, sometimes eating disorders. The volume of Spanish speaking sometimes that comes in is beyond the scope of our practice, or that require specific neurological examinations or whatnot. We don't do. I do, but...
I'll let somebody else take a turn, but what's the difference with the unduplicated clients and the unduplicated Maine Township? You serve a far bigger field than Maine Township, correct?
Yes.
But if we give you money, you're going to use our money for Maine Township clients, correct?
Correct.
And I think we made a deal with you last year that our clients could not have a waiting list, or?
For therapy clients, we don't have a wait list. We take them, we haven't turned anything.
You have no waiting list for the psychological therapy?
Correct. And this year, I donated all psych exams to provide psychologicals, evaluations, ADHD, blah, 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 for any incoming individual that needs it.
And you said you do have one psychiatrist?
One psychiatrist, correct.
And what's their caseload?
No, I don't
I don't know what his caseload is. He's the child psychiatrist for all of Maryville, plus, he has a significant number of patients that he sees out of the clinic. I'm not exactly sure what that number is directly. But I want to just say, in addition to psychological services, there's no wait for any Maine Township people for substance abuse-related services either.
I just want to point out to the board really quick that, so when it says allocation, 10,000, that's not last year, that's not necessarily what the agency asked. So this specific agency actually asked for 40,000 last year. Yeah, so that's actually just what was allocated. So I know it could be kind of confusing. Maybe next year we can add another category. Yeah, so I just want to clear that up. And I have a quick question about fundraising. I know under fundraising it states that you hosted several special events, but it doesn't state what they were. Can you just clarify that?
Well, we have a development department within Maryville Academy Greater, if that's, bigger than just the clinic that we're at.
Okay.
Township, but, and that particular, they do a ton of fundraising type activities. One of them is a gala. It's like a formal dinner that raises money. And at the end of the year, my understanding is that all raised money gets allocated to this, program separately. So we receive money, to my knowledge, from our fundraising efforts, but there's not like one specific fundraiser only, benefiting the clinic that we represented.
Well, would that be shown in your budget under revenue?
I hope that it would. Again, I'm sorry, I don't know specifically about the budget that was turned into you. That's a little bit outside of my scope of knowledge, and I don't want to speak for you, but math is not your thing either.
That's $25,000 that was put in here in total for contributions, bequests, and grants. So I guess the question would be, is fundraising part of that? It seems like it's the only.
Is it appropriate to take those questions and respond back to?
And we may need a follow-up with your financial person.
Yes, you can, someone can email.
That would be great.
Christina would be great.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, yeah, if you can just get back to her, it'd be great.
Because I also, under number 33, how are the township funds utilized? I got to check with this year's, but I thought we earmarked it for DUI. And the receptionist. And it looks to have paid for the variance between Medicaid and private insurance. Maybe that's the same thing, but they probably don't know the answer to that.
On 35, it references that the actual variance for Maine Township clients alone in fiscal year 2018 was $61,000. And it's attributed to a larger number of unduplicated, the 142 clients served. And there's increased number of sessions and hours with clients. Was that due to psychological?
It doesn't say, like we had earmarked, so I'm just trying to find out if our money was actually. That Medicaid difference is part of the DUI or psychological, and I know that 35 says something to that effect, but it doesn't quite explain. So, I mean, I know we were trying to help you hire a receptionist, so that happened. So that's definitely not Medicaid variance. So I think actually, instead of making you guys guess, we probably do need to.
So how did it compare, the 1,300 sessions that were done? Like, are you growing significantly? Was that 1,300 for psychological services or psychiatry services, or a combination of both?
That's combined between both services that we do, and I could say, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me to know them, but I will say that just anecdotally, both his department and my department are absolutely swamped all the time, and that wasn't the case. And I did speak at this meeting last year. That wasn't the case last year. We also have developed a really good relationship with Oakton and have taken a bunch of their students on in order to try and give them some education as well. So our numbers anecdotally are up because I'm way busier. But as far as exactly 1,300 and how many of those go where is hard for me to say, and I don't want to guess.
Okay.
For reference, on last year's application, 114 unduplicated Maine Township clients were served, in comparison to 142 for this year.
No, that's good. Okay. So we went up by 20, whatever, 20-ish. 20, I can't yet. Is your DUI services one stop? In other words, if I send you a client, they can do the, first of all, are you certified by Central State Institute to do them?
Yes.
And accepted by the courts?
Yes.
And then I can also then send the client, if they did take supervision or get supervision, send them to you for the risk education or any of the follow-up things.
Yes, typically we get patients that need the risk education class as well as, 20 or 75 hours as determined by the court. And all clients are allowed, you know, some places cannot accept clients that have 75 hours. We can and frequently do. So yeah, it's a one-stop shop, I guess would be the way to put it, yes. And I should mention too, I don't know if this applies to your particular township's clients, but what we found so successful about this arrangement is that when we bring somebody in, let's say for DUI, if it becomes apparent during that interaction with the client that they also have psychological related issues, which they frequently do, it's very easy to connect them in the same exact building with that type of help.
With the dual diagnosis program.
Yeah, so co-occurring type patients are given the correct amount of treatment for both services and DUI as well if they have one.
Jim, are you the director of community, you're Jim?
I'm Jim.
Okay, and you're Edgar. Are you the director of community services?
No, the director of community services is the one who should be here with your numbers questions. I'm the director of substance abuse services.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you for considering us again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's the psychologist's name again?
Edgar.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Audrey and I'm here from Search. I thought I'd start with just a little bit of background about the agency. We are a nonprofit that serves adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We currently provide adult learning, supported living, job training, as well as behavioral, medical, and therapeutic care. Each year we serve more than 500 people and their families at locations throughout the whole Chicago area, including Maine Township. And our mission is to empower the people we serve to really participate fully in their communities. Our supported living program has 30 homes right now, and one of those homes, our Oriole House, is located in Maine Township. Community integration is a core value for us at Search, and so the residents who live in these homes have lots of opportunities to get out into the community and enjoy and invest in local businesses, restaurants, theaters, and so on. Just to give you a little bit more information about the supported living program and the home that we have in Maine Township, we do pride ourselves on operating, really beautiful homes that are well integrated into the communities where they are located. We really focus on accessibility, on home-cooked meals, and we really personalize the homes based on every individual who lives there. And I can give you some specific examples of that. Our houses and our homes are one of the things that Search is known for in our service field and something that sets us apart from other agencies. And I can also tell you a little bit more about the gentlemen who live at our Oriole House, the 6 men who live there. Their age range from 32 all the way to 59, almost 60. Their diagnoses include autism, epilepsy, Down syndrome, as well as visual impairment, explosive disorder, hearing loss, seizures, and mood disorders. And 5 of the 6 gentlemen are considered to be severe and profoundly disabled. The 6th gentleman is moderately disabled. So as you can see, this is a population that requires a lot of support to get out into the community. Additionally, 5 of those 6 residents actually originally used to live in a state-run institution up in Waukegan. And so when they moved to Search's home, this was the first opportunity that they had to really kind of experience what we would consider to be a normal community life and to get out into the community more. Tonight, I'm respectfully requesting $2,500 from Maine Township. This is in support of the community integration activities for the men who live at Oriole. These outings are not specifically funded by any other source, and these residents really do rely on Search to meet all of their daily needs. So if granted, this funding would support trips to restaurants, other local businesses, outings to sporting events, trips to parks, concerts, really any opportunities to take advantage of all the local community has to offer. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have or to give you any more information about search or this request.
As far as the people that accompany them when they go on these outings, can you comment on them? Because I know you've got the master level licensed staff members and
Yes.
volunteers, or are they?
No, yes. So we call them DSPs, or direct support professionals. They're really the backbone of the agency. They do all of the direct caregiving, and they are the main staff in our residential homes. And they would be the people who accompany our individuals on outings into the community. So a DSP at the home has many tasks. You know, they're responsible for basic caregiving duties. They're responsible for cleaning the homes. We ask our DSPs to clean all of our homes, for providing home-cooked meals, for taking the individuals on any outings, you know, whether that's walking out into the community, driving somewhere nearby. We do have a recreation department that is wholly devoted to just helping people get out into the community, but it's only 2 people. So, you know, they do a lot with going to our homes and getting residents out, but really the people who are on the ground doing most of the outings are our DSPs.
And are the DSPs licensed, did you say?
They go through training and they're CPR certified, but it's not considered a license, you know, different than like a LCPC or something like that. If that makes sense. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, from a, you know, I guess safety standpoint, I just wondered bringing them out. I mean, I know you've got insurance and such, but.
Yeah, no.
They're severe, so.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Urgent need with some severe, you know, disabilities like that, what would you do? The DSP would be in contact, or his?
Yes. I mean, obviously, safety is the first concern, and so we really try to balance, you know, the safety of the individuals with the desire for them to get out into the community and go to the bank or go to the park, you know. The DSPs, you know, do go through an intensive in-person training course. They also have, you know, regular refreshers on their trainings. So, you know, they're really responsible for the safety of the individuals at all times, not even just when they're out in the community.
I had a couple questions. I know last year, I think, was the first year that we funded you, right?
We've actually been funded 2 years now, so thank you very much for that.
Okay. Right, you were a new agency. Frankly, remember why it was that high, considering we usually start a new agency at 500. But my question is, am I reading that you have a $20 million total budget?
That's correct.
Okay, so in the Maine Township is 6 people, right?
Correct.
So it's $41 essentially per client. And I understand they're very severely, I think that's what I know. We have to spread our money out over a lot of sources. But are these the same 6 people?
Yes. In our residential homes, it really does tend to be the same people from year to year. You know, obviously, since it's a home, and a lot has to do with the personalities of the people who live there, and we want them to be as comfortable as possible, it's really ideal to have the same people as much as possible. You know, we very rarely have people leave.
Right. So, especially if they're that severe. So I guess with the 20 million, what does us do? What do we do?
I understand the question. I know it seems like a big number, but you know, it's split across so many programs and so many people. There's so many different things that the agency does.
Is it a nationwide agency?
No, we're just local to Chicago, and actually we're not hugely different in size than other agencies that you might be familiar with. Search, one thing, you know, that makes Search's budget a little bit larger is that we do run a warehouse, the Planet Access Company warehouse. That's actually located in Maine Township as well. It's a social enterprise of Search, and it's a fully functioning warehouse that delivers hundreds of thousands of products each year. The main reason we operate it is to provide employment opportunities for the people we serve. the overall profit is low and it's invested, directly back into our programs. In terms of the specific funding that we're requesting, we do, all of the money, all of the revenue that we have is allocated, and this request, it represents the community outing budget of this house for the year. So we do have a budget for every, all of our 30 homes for these community integration activities. And this is the...
So wait, the money of $2,500 is the only money this home gets?
For community outings.
Oh.
Yes. So, any money we get from the township really helps alleviate our very strained resources to, so we can direct our resources where they do the most good. I know it might not seem like a lot, but it really does matter to the gentleman.
Unduplicated clients to split 20 million. Am I reading this right?
538.
Right. Unduplicated, all, not just including Maine Township.
Right. It's not, I don't think we can exactly say, this is split between 538 people because there's more things that go into the budget, but.
It looks like you take, it says an average of about 11 outings a month, but if I look at, that would be 132 outings a year. Mm-hmm. Is that about right?
Yes.
Then it works out to be like $18 that you spend for each outing.
Yes.
For a total of 6 people.
Yes.
So that seems pretty reasonable.
We're very budget conscious, and so we really try to balance, outings to parks, free summer concerts, libraries, things that are low cost with something that might be a little bit higher cost, like a dinner at a restaurant.
What doesn't make sense is first it says there's 67 community outings, but then it says average of 11 a month. So if you do 11 a month times 12 months, that's 132.
It's so far this year.
67.
That was just referring to what's happened so far this year.
The 67?
Yeah, so
okay.
That's only in the Maine Township fiscal year, just what your funding has provided so far.
So far, okay.
Yes, so only halfway through the year.
Okay, so you spend about less than $20 on every outing.
Yes.
Right, it will be 40 a client because that's 25 divided by 6. Right? So ultimately, that's what it would have to be.
Or they could go a little more often.
Right, or they could, right. Are you one of the few agencies that did not get cut by the state of Illinois?
No, actually, the state is required to fund agencies like Search because of a court order. It's called the Ligas consent order, so they're required to make payments to us. Which is good because we've actually, we do get funded by the state, but it's not at a level that really sustains us very well. The state has recently, in the last 2 years, started raising the wage for our direct support professionals, but up until then, they hadn't raised the wage for about 10 years. The average statewide wage for direct support professionals is around $10 an hour, and this is for skilled caregiving jobs. As I was saying, people who really guard the safety of the individuals we serve, and they're getting paid less than they would at McDonald's. So it's been a very tough environment for us to, provide the quality services that we want to provide, and our focus has been on recruiting and retaining skilled care professionals. And definitely the funding from the state has made that a little bit more difficult. So, anywhere we can get outside funding, like from Maine Township, is a great help to us. Thank you.
Good evening. So our agency has been around for longer than I'm old, not in the auspices of Light and Family Services, but we started in 1950. I was born in 1952. It's a full spectrum agency. We offer everything from child and adolescent therapy, DUI services. We have outpatient therapy. We have a very active senior department, which includes benefits assistance. We have a food pantry. We've partnered with the Greater Chicago Food Depository. We have a transitional living program, which has 18 slots for people with severe and persistent mental illness that can receive services while living in one of our scattered site apartments. As you probably know, we have a big SAS program that serves a good part of Maine. It's now been changed by the state. It's now mobile crisis. We've had to include adults in that. That's something that's relatively new. We have the SHARE program in Hoffman Estates, which is an inpatient substance abuse facility serving much of Illinois, actually. We serve somewhere between 11 and 12,000 total people last fiscal year. We're very busy. We take all of the managed care, all the MCOs, which is not that common anymore given the fact that they're not paying very current, and most of us are owed money for many years. But we do take all managed care, the managed Medicaid organizations. We're very excited about, and we had listed it in our write-up, something that the acronym ELMOS, which brings up the Sesame Street characters. It's emotional learning and mental health outreach to schools. So that is something that's gathering momentum. We have counselors that work directly in the school a number of hours a week as needed to provide counseling to people that have more than just your average bad day at school. And then they can also triage them to the agency. So that's been gathering a lot of momentum. So we're very excited to be here and ask for assistance.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Rich, this is one of the agencies that we split.
I responded. Yeah.
Right. So our funding goes for the psychiatry.
I believe it funds all of the services they provide, not just...
Yes.
So are we in competition with ourselves? We had this discussion.
Mental health field, there's
No, not the mental health.
competition.
Are you not affiliated with Light and Township, right?
Correct. Correct. It's Light and Family Services and Mental Health Center.
Right.
And the SHARE program.
You came in and filled our gap for us.
Yes.
Right thing to do.
Yes, it was.
Really need the psychiatry component of it. You still...
Yeah, we have 2 psychiatrists, and we are pretty close to getting an advanced practice nurse to work with the SAS program, former SAS program, because that is something that needs to be responded to pretty quickly.
So is the advanced practice nurse can prescribe medication?
Yes. So that I signed a deal with Hartgrove Hospital for that, and I'm just waiting to implement that. So it actually would be telepsychiatry, and I think this was brought up before. The field of psychiatry and is not that many people are going into that anymore, so it's very difficult. So the APNs are in demand, and telepsychiatry is the way it's going now. I mean, it's hard to find primary care physicians too.
We know how many Maine Township residents are in the psychiatry program?
Out of the 455?
Right.
Oh, out of the 455. Well, I would say I would.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason I thought we'd earmarked it for that.
Because I know, obviously, when Maine Center closed, I know the numbers went up dramatically. So I guess also my part 2 question is, I'm wondering if those numbers are still, you know what I'm saying, at kind of an all-time high, or if they stabilized, or, you know, where they're at.
Because we're bursting, right?
Yeah, we're definitely, you know,
Chicago Behavioral doesn't have one. And so, and I think Jocelyn's having trouble finding
Yeah, they're meeting the capacity with the same services, with the telepsych services.
Well, and then the point too is that it's hard to find places that'll take Medicaid and manage Medicaid. That's a big issue because many of the agencies are either they've restricted the MCOs that they're dealing with based on the poor payment history, and so that brings a lot of people to us because we're taking everything. We don't take HMOs, but managed care we take.
Bruce, what's the average length of time that it takes from the initial phone call to the initial appointment with a psychiatrist?
Okay, are you talking about crisis or just
a regular psychiatric appointment?
Well, it would be just a regular psychiatric appointment. It would be probably about 3 weeks. We have to set people up for an assessment because that's what you need to get everything rolling. So we meet with a therapist first to get the complete biopsychosocial history in order for the psychiatrist to have everything that they need at their fingertips.
So 3 weeks to actually see the psychiatrist prior to that?
Right.
Is there a wait list?
The wait list is getting smaller. Time-wise, it's about what I said, about 3 weeks.
Oh, that includes the wait list. But you don't have a number figure on the wait list, like 30 people or...
Last time I checked, it was like about 25.
Since Donna's passing, what's been the biggest challenge that you guys have had to go through as an organization? And maybe since your tenure has started, what's been the biggest opportunity you've encountered as well?
Well, the biggest challenge, and I tip my hat to our controller here, Brenda, the last time we were here was Donna's wake. So the 2 people that were here were not at the wake. That came as a shock. Donna didn't have a succession plan. And, you know, after her stroke, she was unable to talk. So we had a lot of things that we had to come to terms with because of that. It gave us an opportunity to kind of rebuild the agency, to entertain some ideas that maybe, you know, Donna might not have, just given, you know, her background. There was a certain energy now that I think my office, the first thing I did as the CEO was the private bathroom became an agency bathroom. So my first official act as a CEO was, if you need to use a bathroom, you can use the one right next to my office, and if you got any ideas, please stop in and see me. So that's, and my door is always open, and quite literally is. One of the things we've had to deal with, I think that was a recent challenge that we're still dealing with, is one of our clinicians was assaulted in a parking lot, not our parking lot, by a client, rather viciously. And so that kind of traumatized the staff and gave us an opportunity to kind of look at some of our policies and procedures. And what we were able to do was the clinician who was assaulted was having a very tough time reintegrating herself back in that particular building. But we had openings in the building I'm at, so we took her in because we needed clinicians. So that was one of the bigger ones. And I'm part of a small CEO group, and that's one of the things we're trying to come to terms with, is that those random acts of violence that could occur, not just, you know, with our clients, but on the street. How do you guard against that? You know, I mean, myself personally, when I was running the crisis department, I got punched in the mouth trying to help somebody in the ambulance. I had my teeth put through my lip, and I'm a second-degree black belt, so it didn't make any difference if you don't expect it. So that, I would say, that's the biggest the biggest challenge is to make the clinicians feel safe when you can't, you're dealing with a potentially volatile population, dual diagnosed. The research shows that substance abuse plus mental illness increases the risk of violence. So we have cameras now at all the buildings all the way around, signs posted that you're on camera. Hopefully that will be a deterrent. Looking at how people go about their business. I mean, she was bringing dinner back from Burger King right next door, and she ended up in the middle of a bad situation. So that was a tough one. It still is.
So you'll get us the number of,
Yes.
I guess, I don't think it's really, I don't have last year's. I'm very interested in that number, but, so the funding request is going up 1,000 for,
Well, it was 60, and then last year was dropped to 59. So we got 60,000.
Oh, I see.
Right. So we're asking for the same amount.
right, never mind. Keep doing that, we're gonna have to change
Yeah,
it.
we'll change it for next year.
Thank you, Bruce.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
I assume because we have overlap with peer assistance and senior programs and food pantry that are the allocation, it says the funding would be allocated to the programs, but it's
Not where there's.
talking psychiatry.
Right.
Right.
Are we exclusive to that then?
I thought that's
For our funding?
had done, was earmarked to psychiatry, so.
Well, psychiatry, outpatient, we've got
And
the
there's a
transitional
paragraph in here
living.
where you say that, actual.
We've got the transitional living.
Right, where you said that, I think it's paragraph, where you said that the money is used for psychiatry. Here.
I was looking at question
Page
35, and it's not specific on question 35. It just said the funding would be allocated.
Right, but look at 30.
To the programs that the Maine Township residents participate in, whatever that may be, as part of the aftercare department, aftercare meaning after psychiatric hospitalization, we have a program that has a psychosocial rehabilitation, skill building, so that average daily living skills, et cetera, are taught to the clients. We have, and it's mentioned there too, we have an affiliation with another agency that helps find employment, which is very important as day structure.
But for 34, you do say it. You said the state of Illinois has continued the elimination for funding of 2 programs, psychiatrists.
Yes.
And services for anyone without coverage. We've continued to provide those services with the help of township's funding. So,
well, if you take
35 should say, hopefully, if we do fund, I'm, in my opinion, think it should be.
Well, if you take
aftercare.
If you take an example of the sliding scale at the low end is less than $10, and we're paying our psychiatrists $120.
Totally
right. So it's like we're paying our
Our
psychiatrists.
point is not to the food pantry.
No.
Or to
No.
stuff we do.
No, and I guess Oksana's heading up the senior part.
In the senior department. And we now have.
Christy.
I'm sorry. And Maria's our new.
Okay.
Who was previously also here at. Yeah, so we've had some changes. But if you could get us that would be.
Yes, I can get that for you tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much.
And thanks for, again, filling in that void.
Well, we thank you. Without the support of the townships, it's a bad story out there. I don't know.
I know.
I'll tell you a real quick story. Fred Crespo, who's representative up in Hoffman Estates, asked for a audit of HFS, which they fought out for 14 months. They were $7.11 billion off, and I'm owed a little over $400,000 on the mental health side and a little over $400,000 on the substance abuse side, and I'm not the only one, because we pass the bill to the state through the MCOs get paid. Where's my money? So it's without the township's assistance, I mean, I'm owed money from 2015. We just wrote it off. We're writing off 2015.
Wow.
I just found
That's the year you filled in the gap?
out there's a complaint portal in the state of Illinois. A complaint portal that you,
Good luck with that.
I'm sure it's jammed up.
yeah, so I appreciate your support.
Well, we do appreciate you coming
That
to
is.
rescue. That was a big help.
Thank you. Any other questions?
We will let you go enjoy.
Thank you.
District 6.
Next agency is District 63 Education Foundation and Expanded Learning, Brian Williams and William Gibson.
Good evening.
Hi.
Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the needs of District 63 Foundation. My name is Brian Williams. I am the Director of Expanded Learning. John Jeckett and Susan Lemke were unable to attend this evening. With me is William Gibson, a gentleman who's been with our programs for the full 18 years that we've been in existence. Expanded Learning is a positive youth development program that provides safe environments for education and enrichment at East Maine School District 63 schools. We support Maine Township families with the ability to pursue their education and career goals while knowing their children are safe. The foundation has requested $50,000 to provide our families with the opportunity to participate in our out-of-school programs. The funds will be used to supplement or provide scholarships for Maine Township families participating in our programs. Our youth are given the opportunity to have proactive outlets. These outlets include homework completion and the ability to fully understand their school assignments, reading time and completion of those assignments, arts enrichment, social emotional learning, service learning, STEAM, sports and fitness. With your support, our families, especially those in our district experiencing homelessness, can pursue opportunities to help remove them from their current state.
So, Brian, I know we've been through a lot
Yes.
last year and the year before. We had a certain issue of our money going to pay for. It was all restructured with college kids and interns. That was the goal when we met, remember? But then it was using teachers, right? So when you say proactive completion, what does that mean?
So I mean that we give our students the opportunity to have the outlets they need to be supported. So the supports that they need sometimes is just having a positive adult in their lives, to have someone to speak to communicate with on a regular basis. And then, as I mentioned, to complete some homework and have some of those outlets that I shared. Some of those opportunities are not available for all of our families in our community, and we're providing those opportunities.
And how is our money doing that?
Your money is providing students who cannot participate otherwise with the opportunity to participate. So, as you know, 2001, 2002, Expanded Learning, at the time called TLC, had 21st century dollars. Those dollars lasted for approximately 3 to 4 years. Those dollars allowed for students to participate in these activities and to learn and to grow and to explore new opportunities where we're proactively giving them. Oh, as I mentioned, there's social emotional learning. So we're studying, the students are learning more and more about their emotional state. They're learning about anti-bullying. They're learning about supporting in a leadership role communities in our service learning programs activities. So they're learning about doing local campaigns through our We Service Learning curriculum, as well as global campaigns. So that leadership opportunity is something that they're not really receiving anywhere else at this age. Through our STEAM education activities, the students are not participating in STEAM throughout our district. They're participating in STEAM, at least at the time that I introduced STEAM about 3 years ago now, they were not learning about STEAM at the level that we were providing it. Now our district's providing some of that education, but we're continuing that education in the after-school program, giving students exposure to sciences, to technology, things that they wouldn't receive at this age unless they were in a classroom that they selected to participate in those programs. All of the things that we offer are proactive as opposed to reactive. We're providing them with the opportunity to explore these opportunities. So these are things that they may not otherwise have access to.
But we always did that. We always funded the after-school program. But our main goal, and the reason we did TLC, was the basketball. I mean, that was our biggest driver, if you will. Mm-hmm. The basketball league, I know last year or 2 years ago there had been some talk that you wanted to expand into transportation and bus rides, and we're not doing that. But, so are we still doing the basketball league?
Yes, we are. We are still supporting or providing a basketball league.
Is that where our money is going?
The money that we're receiving as of last year has been going to our open gym and basketball.
Okay.
We report on our after-school programs as well, but it's going towards the core aspects of our program. The transportation, things of that nature, allow our students to get to and from our programs, and
right.
would have helped to support those students. But I wanted to go back to something you mentioned about interns as well as college students. I wasn't clear on that.
Oh, a few years back when we had the transition from Pam, and yourself and Wally met with Dr.
Clay. Mm-hmm.
And you had just started.
Yes.
It had been stated that because in the summer program the teachers were getting paid teacher salary when it was really still in the trailer, and it was, remember, we were sending people out, and sometimes it was like just activities like braiding hair, helping homework sometimes, and so those things that, like you guys, devoted yourselves to fixing those things.
Correct. Okay.
And so you had said at that time that college students, interns, were going to be starting to be transitioned to this. And then I think the next year, the teachers, and I have no offense against teachers, believe me.
Right.
It was just the cost.
Mm-hmm.
In the after-school summer program,
mm-hmm.
whether teachers were needed for those activities that are not teaching. And I think that was the whole discussion at least 2 years ago.
Understood. Thanks for clarity. We still work with teachers' aides. We have college students who come in and intern. We have volunteers who come in to support our programs.
Right.
I try to provide as many opportunities to community members to come in and support this program as possible.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I see you did mention the basketball, How is the, Rich? Is Christina following in the, I don't know if she's been asked to, in the Oksana,
Site visits of the...
Yes.
Yes, we've talked about it, and she's going to resume that very shortly because the
Right.
main program started up just in the fall. So within the next month, she'll be doing the first one.
All right, and the basketball, and we're all good with our check-ins and check-outs.
Yeah, several years ago, they instituted that online check-in system where there was accountability and the list could be shared with the township because they gave permission to share that. So
Right, which we very much appreciate that we got the cooperation on that. That was...
Ask you a quick question.
Absolutely.
Summer program, So you allow kids outside of the boundaries of Maine Township to participate in the summer program? Or is
Very, very few, but yes, the answer is yes. So I would say 98% of our participants are Maine Township participants, and there are a few families, such as staff that work in the district, that will bring their children and sign them up for our summer program. So they're already there, they just want to make sure their children are safe and nearby.
Right, next year with the expansion of Gemini, how will that affect the space that you have access to and any programs that will be able to offer? Will it enhance that, or would that be an obstacle you'd have to overcome at all?
Other than the construction being an obstacle, I believe that with the additional space, we will have access to a third, field house space, perhaps, as well as they're going to build a drama room that we can use throughout the school year. That would be kind of dedicated space for the program, which would be really beneficial. My goal is to make sure that all of our students actively participate in programs so that they can be safe and off the streets, their parents know exactly where they are, and they're given new opportunities to explore educational activities. And I think with the expansion, we'll have more space to do that. And we'll be serving 6th through 8th graders at Gemini, as opposed to 7th and 8th graders only. Yes.
So the money is going, how many scholarships have you issued? And does the money go purely to scholarships that you award to each family?
We've issued, as of this school year, 2 students that are experiencing homelessness. We've issued scholarships to them. And that is not just for the after-school program or just for open gym or just for basketball. That's for our year-round programs. Around 22 students, 15 families are receiving assistance through our programs, whether through our programs as well as the child care assistance programs that the state offers.
And what kind of money is that, the 15 that are in the 2 students?
It varies. So when I say we offer all of our program options to our families, so we're talking about 16 families, 24 students. One student's, cost for the year could be approximately $2,400. That includes every one of our program offerings. So it depends on what the family's wishes are, if they want all of the program offerings, but it could be upwards of $2,400 per student.
Like after school, before school, bus?
Correct.
Basketball?
Correct.
Everything?
So if they're of age for our basketball program, because we go 5th grade and up, 5th grade to 8th grade for basketball, if they want to participate in our early dismissal, our winter break, our spring break, our summer program, all of that is offered to those families once we've identified that they need additional support.
Okay. And you mentioned the STEAM, which is the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, as referenced as an offering for after school? Mm-hmm. That's for the after school support? You have enrichment programs like that?
Correct. So we offer, the enrichment activities include, as I've mentioned, STEAM, arts enrichment, whether it's dance, drawing, singing, whatever the case may be. It includes
those only at certain of the schools? Which schools offer that?
All of them. So we have a STEAM center, so to speak, at Gemini, but all of the sites have access to STEAM kits so that they can explore further into STEAM education and technology education. For example, last year, the students traveled to Pandora Radio on a field trip from Gemini, and that was a technology experience that they may have never received if they didn't come to expanded learning. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Nice to see you.
Take care.
Oh, we're literally doing great. We are only 5 minutes behind, unlike our usual half hour behind, so we're going to take our break.
Good evening. I'm Marlene Hodges. I'm the Executive Vice President and CFO of Orchard Village. I am here this evening to tell you about our house on Hazelwood Drive in Glenview. Our house on Hazelwood Drive in Glenview is the home for 8 people, a number of whom are severely developmentally disabled. And in this house, we have these 8 people, and we try to make this as much a home as possible. In the past year, we spent more than a little money completely redoing the sewer system. And it honestly took about a year and a half between getting permits and getting the contractor and getting my board to agree to redo the sewer system. Because of additions, it was really kind of crummy. So we ripped up the whole backyard, put in new sewers. Then we had to redo the kitchen because we just changed the plumbing and the connections. The house really could use a few new windows. I've kind of run out of money to trying to make this as livable a house for the 8 people who call it a home, and would really appreciate some assistance. The kind of short-term projects that we want to do next with this house, kind of normal maintenance. It needs a new refrigerator, and it needs a new, it has 2 air conditioning units, and hoping to replace those in the relatively near future. And if I could ask the township for assistance for new windows, that would be a godsend.
The residents that you have in the various communities, are those owned or are those rented?
This is an owned house. Orchard Village owns the house. Orchard Village owns 3 houses in Maine Township. And I'm asking for help and assistance with just one of the houses. We're funded by the state of Illinois and fundraising. The state of Illinois has its own problems, and we work real hard to make ends meet with normal daily assistance, 24-hour care for our residents. But sometimes when the house, just like last year, needed new plumbing and a new kitchen and new pipes, it can really set us back. So some additional assistance to help me replace a few windows, I'd be most appreciative. About $4,500. The windows that are on there really need it paint, and it's more than just paint. It's great, you know, they're shot. When the windows are shot, the windows are shot. Yeah, I can put paint on them, but really this is kind of pointless. I need plastic windows with frames that you don't have to paint, and that they're high degree of R-rated, so that, you know, keep the heat in and all that good stuff.
How many windows are you talking about?
About 8. Yeah, double hung. Does the township have any tree replacement programs? We had 2 dead trees that we had to take out and trimmed another one. I could really, do you have some kind of tree replacement? Is it on private property? Yeah.
Not for unincorporated. And especially if it's on private property. Had a massive storm a few years back where a tree on city property fell on my house and killed 2 other trees. And yeah,
If it's on the right of way, highway does.
the highway, if it's on
the right of, yeah,
right,
if it's
but
on
it
their
isn't.
property,
It's
yeah,
on
no
their
private property, we don't.
So typically our funding, you know, we try to give it to the services, in some instances, you know, we do give it for, you know, some types of needed, like washer or a dryer, but
I need a refrigerator.
A new criteria cannot be something that would be part of a capital fund? So do you guys have a capital fund line item in your budget?
My threshold for capitalization is $5,000. The normal day in and day out, this would be considered normal day in and day out maintenance and repairs.
Could it be considered capital fund?
Could it be? I've kind of blown my capital budget with the plumbing.
Rich, last year, please remind me what the request was. So we haven't funded since 2015.
I haven't applied for 5 years.
No, 2013 was a new agency. 2014 was the second request. Apply until now, right? Okay. So I don't know if you were here when Search was here. Did you hear them?
I'm sorry?
Were you here when Search Inc. was here?
No.
Okay. I thought they were the only developmental house that we had, but apparently, so we do have another place that, and we try not to duplicate. So, I'm a little confused because I'm trying to figure out, you said how many people are in this house?
8.
All right, but then we have 94 unduplicated Maine Township.
This house is unincorporated. We have another house. We have 2 other houses in Glenview. 1 in Niles.
So this is unincorporated Maine Township?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, but so you have 94 unduplicated Maine Township clients.
I'm sorry?
Okay, so on page 2 of your application, there's a total of 94, according to the application, 94 unduplicated Maine Township clients that were directly served, but you're saying that there's 8.
In this particular house, we have 3 houses that
They're all in unincorporated?
No. One is in unincorporated, one is in incorporated, and one is, in Niles.
I guess my question is, are the others within Maine Township?
Yes. Different services, we have a very robust vocational program in helping clients find jobs, and we help a large group of people in the community find jobs. And they live throughout the greater area.
But now also on page 2, you say that if your grant is restricted, the total number of unduplicated Maine Township clients last fiscal year that you funded was not applicable. What's the difference between the unduplicated Maine Township clients of 94 and if the grant was restricted?
We have the question is the word restricted. Is it, perhaps it was a misunderstanding of the word restricted. Would the funds be restricted to just this Maine Township, or?
Yes.
And it should be the same number.
I think that's her question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a mistake?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
94 for the 3 homes.
94 for the 3 homes, plus the people who live in their own homes that we serve in helping them find jobs. And we have a very active and robust vocational program.
And where is that run out of?
Our offices are in Skokie, but we reach out to a very large community in finding employers and working with individuals living in their own homes or family homes in a large area. And
do you have any idea of the number of Maine Township clients that you have been successful in helping to find jobs for? That might be a helpful number for us.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head.
Is that some number you could get?
I believe I could.
I'm not sure if fixing the windows is something, but the other things are within our. I think we're all still a little unclear as to the actual total number of clients that are Maine Township clients. So
90.
Not 94?
I'm sorry, 94, yes.
And in this particular house, it's 9?
8.
And how much in the other two houses?
8 apiece also. So a total of 24 residents in Orchard Village owned houses.
And then the additional 70 are people that you help with vocational.
That live in their family homes or in the community.
And can you tell us why you didn't seek funding from 2015? You may have answered that. 2015 through 2018.
There was a change in senior management. We had a different executive director. He came and went, and we changed executive directors, and we're now going back to grassroots, kind of square by square by square. So kind of.
Was there any noticeable detriment?
I'm sorry?
Was there any noticeable detriment in those 5 years?
No. No noticeable detriment.
And so besides us and apparently Niles Township, is there any other township or municipality that you are seeking funding from? City of Des Plaines, City of Park Ridge, Morton Grove, Glenview?
Morton Grove has been a contributor to Orchard Village on a more or less consistent basis for many years, and we typically get about $2,500 from the Morton Grove and $30,000 from...
Yeah, $2,500 you said?
Yes.
Listed as 0%, so that's why I'm asking. Because I think your numbers are a little... whoever did paragraph 30. So do you get 0% federal money?
Correct. $30,000.
30,000. Do you have a larger proportion of clients in Niles?
Not materially.
What about Glenview?
I'm sorry.
0.
All right, my final question is that on paragraph 34, there's some changes, new programs, expansion, and whatnot, innovations. Is that what you're talking about with placing people?
No.
Oh.
Innovations is a day program, but it's a very ambitious day program. We started it 2 years ago, the 4th of July, if you will, and this is our first anniversary. It's the first anniversary of Innovations. The clients served by Innovations were typically in day programs, doing piecework or in day programs, and we work really hard with individuals who've never had a job before, really hard to get a job. And we have a number of very ambitious internships in a variety of different activities, from a pizza parlor to working all over, trying to get people used to the idea of going to work. And this is hard work of getting people who have never had a job, never worked. They go to a day program, that's fine, that's good, but it's a whole different mental set. So this innovations program draws from both our existing clients as well as a larger community, and try any way possible, one-on-one with a person, trying to look at their skill sets, what they're good at, what they like, and what sort of work would be most appropriate. Work is good, and once we can put all the pieces together, it is good, but it's hard work. For someone who's never worked and who might be 40 years old and never had a job, it's hard work. Yes. The reaction for people who have kind of crossed over, if you will, especially if they're a little bit younger, maybe 30, 35, and it's a whole different world for them. That the idea of being at least a little independent and having their own thing, and going to, being a contributing member rather than being just someone that everyone helps is a wonderful thing. Getting a little money too. It might be minimum wage, it might be a shade more, but it is theirs. It's a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, cool.
The next agency is NAMI, County North Suburban. We have Gary Pender, 15
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to be here. Wish you'd be better soon. I know what that cold feels like. My name is Gary Kenzer, and I'm the Executive Director of NAMI, Cook County North Suburban in Skokie. I come to NAMI in July after serving for many years as the CEO, Executive Director of the Polish American Association, a very large social service agency. And I've been in the social service community in the field for about 25 years. So it's quite a position to take on, given the long-standing phenomenal history of NAMI and Nancy Karstead, who was our executive director, who retired. So it's really an honor, and it's an honor to bring up Christine to talk about our programs, which is our heart and soul of what we do.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you also for the opportunity to come and talk to you about NAMI. And also thank you for all of the support that you've given us over the years, because we feel like we have a really good partnership with you, and you've been very helpful and generous to us. So I don't know how much about NAMI you know, so I want to give you just a little bit of a brief overview about NAMI. We are the largest mental health provider in the nation. We're grassroots. What that means is there's a national organization, and there are 900 affiliates, of which we are one. We are separate 401(c), so we get no funding from national. We are located in Skokie, on Skokie Boulevard, in the building Turning Point. So we share a home with Turning Point. And we serve 17 communities, and 6 of those are in Maine Township. So we serve over a third of our communities that we serve are Maine Township communities. So I just want to give you a sense of what we do by way of saying that the people that we serve are people who sometimes will go to a doctor with their loved one and get a diagnosis that blows their mind away. And they walk out of the hospital or a doctor's office and they go, what do we do now? And that's where NAMI steps in. We are there to provide support for the families who are caregivers of loved ones with mental health diagnosis, and we're there to support individuals who are living in recovery with a mental health diagnosis. And we do this not with clinical staff. We have no clinicians on staff. We're a large group of volunteers, actually, that do this work. We screen them very carefully for the attributes we're looking for. They all have to have lived experience, either personally with a mental health condition or with a loved one. So they are what we consider experts, peer experts. They know what it is to live in this world and to travel this journey. So we screen our volunteers carefully and we train them intensely. We train them with our evidence-based signature programs that NAMI National has given to us. Most of NAMI affiliates provide some of these signature programs, and then we as individual chapters also provide other programs to individuals and groups. So we have some that are nationally based and some that are derived from our own creative inclinations and the needs of our communities that we serve. So the classes that we have are three. We have a family class for individuals who are caregivers of a loved one with a mental health diagnosis. And we have one that's called a refresher workshop for the LUMs who have gone through that class. That class is 6 weeks. It's free to the public. It's free to anyone who wishes to avail themselves to the class. And then the other class we have is for parents who have a child under the age of 18. And again, this is free to the parents, and it's a 6-week class. So those classes we try to take around our 17 community catchment area, which again includes 6 of your communities, Niles Township. We try to move them around to meet the needs of as many families as we can in our service area. Our support groups are offered to individuals who are living in recovery and to families and parents who are struggling to support their loved one. Our support groups usually meet bi-monthly, so twice a month. So in addition to the groups for families and for parents, we have support groups for individuals themselves, and I wanted to just name a couple for you. We have one that we offer to people who maybe are recently diagnosed, maybe just got out of the hospital, and are really not in a very high state of functioning. So that's called Connections. And then we have another support group for individuals who maybe have been in recovery for a while, doing pretty well, are stable on their meds, want to go back to school, want to go back to work, but they still need that safety net. And so we have a support group for them called Balance. We have another support group that we launched called Dual Solutions, and it's for people who are living in recovery with a mental health diagnosis and also with substance abuse or some kind of addiction. And then I have one called Cerebral Supports for individuals with a mental health diagnosis and also epilepsy, also having a diagnosis of epilepsy. 3 other groups I want to mention before I move on. One we just launched about 2 years ago. It's a horse therapy, equine assisted therapy, and we do that in partnership with Equestrian Connections in Lake County. That's been a very popular program. A lot of people love it, and those who have taken it want to come back and take it again. And then we have one that we recently launched for veterans, a veterans support group. And we're going to be launching one in November, we hope, which will be a support group that we're calling Faith Connection. And it will be a support group for individuals whose journeys include finding a way to live through their faith. And it's open to any denomination. It's anyone who is in the faith community and wants to sort of use that as a strength pillar for their recovery. The other things that I'd like to mention before I move on is that we have public education, which we move around the 17 communities as well. So we have open public forums where we talk about mental health issues, topics that are timely, suicide and trauma and those kinds of things. And we take that into the communities that invite us. We work really hard to get those invitations. And part of that community education includes an author series where we will bring in an author who has written a memoir on their personal journey with a mental health condition. And then finally, we have a program where we have 2 individuals who are living well in recovery who will go and speak. So it's like a speaker's bureau. And they will go into schools, they'll go into libraries, they'll go to police departments and tell their story about what it's like to live with bipolar or what it's like to live with schizophrenia, and they tell their story. So we've had several of our author series in Glenview and in Des Plaines, and so I just wanted to mention those 2. And then we evaluate our programs on a very consistent basis. We survey our classes. We survey our public community programs. And the kinds of feedback that we get from the classes and the public education forums, I want to just share a few of the statistics on that, because it tells you not only what our participants say, but also what we look for, what our learning outcomes are with the services that we provide. So 95% of the individuals who have attended our programs said that they increased their knowledge of and understanding of mental health as a brain disorder instead of something other than that. So that's a really important learning outcome that we strive for. 92% said that they increased their confidence and comfort in dealing with a mentally ill family member. 92% that said that our programs improved their problem solving and communication techniques with family members. And 86% said that they improved their ability to care for oneself in the midst of a family crisis. Self-care is a real important skill that we try to teach. The way that we do our work, we're a very small staff, but we do it with trying to engage with a lot of partners. So we have many partners in the 17 communities. We work with libraries, we work with hospitals, we work with townships, we work with schools, and we work with other mental health providers to help get these resources out into the community. Our volunteers are approximately 80, and I think that's where I'd like to press the pause button and see if you have any questions.
I'm very impressed. I wanted to ask you, where is your closest, okay, so the bi-monthly support groups for the individuals themselves, is the Balance support group, is that an example of the bi-monthly?
Yes.
Okay, and that's like group therapy?
It's like group support. It's like peer support, yes.
And where would the closest one be?
Park Ridge.
And where in Park Ridge? At the hospital?
Yes.
At Parkside? Right. I mean, at the Parkside building?
Yeah.
A room that we rent in the hospital.
Oh, I did not know this.
And that's the place where we're also going to have our baby too.
Okay, so what's the age,
for support groups?
The age for the Balance support group?
It has to be adult, so 18 or above.
And it's at Parkside, all right. And then the parents support groups, what's the closest one of those?
Probably Deerfield right now.
Down in Advocate? No?
No, we're not there yet. However, with our request for funding, one of the things we want to do is to be able to scale some of these programs, because there are communities that we serve quite well, and there's some that we haven't been able to serve. So some of it is a function of getting the right teachers trained. Some of it is a function of finding the right partnerships. Sometimes we have to pay for space and that sort of thing. So.
And this area is right in the heart of our catchment area. So particularly like Glenview, right in the heart. So we really want to expand services greatly.
Right, so if I have a client or somebody I want to send in the balance support, that best fits in that, what would they have to do? Do they have to register through Lutheran, through Parkside, or they just call you?
They
Or
call
walk
us.
in?
They call us. They call us.
Call NAMI.
They call NAMI.
Okay.
And again, all of our programs are free. All of the support groups are free. All of the classes are free to the participants. They're not free to us.
Right.
But to people who want to avail themselves to our services, it's free to them. Only our classes require a registration because we put together 3-ring binders of materials for every individual in the class. Our support groups, we don't have a lot of materials that we pass out. It's more, like you said, kind of talking and supporting. So
Because most people are not going to want to fill out a 3-ring binder.
No.
Or coming for...
Right. So the support groups are kind of drop in, stay if it works for you, don't if it doesn't. It's sort of, many of them are sort of come and go, and many of the individuals come and stay. But it's personal choice.
You're reporting a great success rate. That's why, I get a lot of clients at this age. Same with the parents, that's the closest is Deerfield?
Yeah. I know, we're not happy about that either, but...
I ask this question every year, and I think one year you did have an LCSW or an LCPC, but you have no mental health professionals in your agency at all?
None.
Okay. So for me, that's a concern. If you have a volunteer who feels there's a situation that they can't handle or they have a question, because I understand they've been through life and they have experience, but if they do have a question or they have a concern about something or they're not sure how to handle a certain situation, then who do they turn to or what do they do in that situation?
We have a warm line and an office person who is dedicated to taking calls and to building our resources. So we are in the process of actually building our resources so we can refer people to lawyers who work in the area of mental health, psychologists, social workers. We're building our resource base, and we do have homelessness too. So we will refer people freely to professional services when they need them.
I think the question is more on a safeguard, but it's
I'm sorry,
sort of like AA, it sounds like, or Marty's group. They don't have any LCSWs either.
Okay.
Right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Groups at least are
Support groups
modeled
are
on AA model, it seems.
They're not an AA model. They're a NAMI model.
In terms of being self-led.
Yes.
By volunteers who you said, maybe it's a training question of what goes into the training?
They're trained very vigorously.
And so I guess who does the training?
We do the training. We do the training, and the state.
But nobody has any clinical background.
I'm
social worker, psychology, or anything like that. Correct?
I'm sorry. There's 2 people who train. We train some of our facilitators, and the state of, not the state of Illinois, NAMI, Illinois, the Illinois organization of NAMI offers training throughout the state, and the people who train are not clinicians. The people who train are the people who know what it's like. But they have a curriculum. They have a curriculum that was written by professionals, PhD clinicians and social workers. So the curriculum was designed by clinical staff, but the people who deliver it are.
And how many people would you say run these programs about? Do you have volunteers do you have?
Well, we have over 80, approximately 80. Yeah.
And my last question is about malpractice or liability. How is that covered? Because they're not, in the mental health field.
Yeah, we have over $1 million liability in any facility that we go into.
And are you a clinician, did you say?
I am not a clinician.
I'm very impressed with your fundraising because you're almost $300,000.
Thank you.
And is that expected on an annual basis that you do that much?
Yes. That's where most of our funds come up from, besides the townships.
Mark our donation to the Parkside location, since it is in the township, or is there another location that is in the township.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
If we fund you, like again,
Yeah.
did, and I think I was one of the people pushing that, 2015, can we earmark our funding to be in the Park Ridge location, or the closest, we don't really want to earmark it for Deerfield, no offense to Deerfield.
No, I think that that's a very legitimate request, and I think that we can do that. Absolutely. We're only limited by the number of people we have to teach or to facilitate. So if we can have enough people that are trained, we can certainly bring it to the locations.
So we can start a parent group.
Right. Right.
And what are your charges? I know you don't have a sliding fee scale, so where are your charges, I assume, were submitted?
Charges? Everything is free.
Okay, so there's nothing. Okay.
Everything is free for our classes and our support groups and our community education.
And the material that they get, everything.
Everything is free. That's why we fundraise.
Like Marcus.
Yeah.
No, it really is.
Oh, like 70 pages, something like that. 60, 70 pages.
Extensive material.
Yeah.
And where is that online?
No, we don't post our materials online, or they're copyrighted.
If you become a member of the support group, is there access to the materials?
No. But if you become a member of NAMI, there is, there's some, yes, there would be access to some of the materials. Yes. Somerville.
Had a quick comment. A couple of weeks ago, we had a new family that we started to work with in therapy. Had an adult child that has a very severe mental illness that was not diagnosed previously and never been treated. So the family was coming looking for help, and the very first session we referred them to a NAMI support group, and they ended up attending, and they had a good experience. So it was nice to be able to have that as a resource to augment the therapy that we're providing for the family, because there's really no substitute for them to realize that their experience is actually very normal, and they really felt that it was abnormal because they just didn't know any better. So
thank you for that. I actually feel as though we work really well when we can partner with organizations like yours who have clinical staff.
Well, and I echo him because it's really hard to find a support group, of peers or in this area. It just is. A person, whether they have a psychologist or a psychiatrist, that's one thing. But,
right. It's not the same.
But it's not the same. And I think the best experience is through a support group. Reported by Marty and personally. So I really do applaud. And was that person's experience at the Parkside one? You'll remember, I just was curious.
Or which one they attended, actually. But I have a question related to that, too. Are you looking for other locations, or is it just the issue of service providers? You don't have people to run the groups? Or do you look for, are you in need of other locations?
Both.
We are always looking for locations.
We always look for new locations. We want to spread the resources.
Parkside donate it?
I'm sorry?
Does Parkside donate it?
Yes.
To you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But, wow.
So I was going to say, how would you know that that's a normal experience if you had no
Exactly.
exposure to
That's
it?
what I mean. And to have, peers is so, going to a shrink still has a stigma that.
Mr. Kensler, I'm familiar with some of your work again, and it's good to meet you. I'm familiar with some of your work, and it's good to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's a wonderful organization.
It really is.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next organization is the Harbor.
What's his last
Good evening. First of all, I just want to thank Maine Township for your support over the years. I believe that you've been one of our community partners for over 25 years, so we certainly do thank you for that. As you may know, the Harbor provides emergency shelter, transitional housing, and supportive services to homeless youth ages 12 to 23 in the north and northwest suburbs. We've been in the community for over 45 years, and we deliver our services to youth through 3 core programs. We have our Safe Harbor Emergency Shelter, which provides short-term shelter, crisis intervention, and case management to girls ages 12 to 21. These girls come to us after being locked out or after running away to escape severe family conflict, parental substance abuse, or mental health issues. Crisis intervention successfully reunites many minor youth with their families, but when this is not possible, we also provide transitional housing. We have 2 phases within our Youth in Transition program. We have our first phase, which is supervised group living for young women in a residential setting. In this phase, youth finish high school, work part-time, making 65% of their earnings, and learn skills to live independently. Most youth will transfer to the second phase within 9 months of the program. And in this phase, youth live in their own apartments while we provide a declining rent subsidy and continued case management to support their independent living skills. Similar to phase 2 of our Youth in Transition program, we have our Successful Teens Effective Parenting program that provides specialized supportive services to parenting young women and men in their own apartments. Most of what I've mentioned so far revolves around housing, but we really do much more than that. In addition to a safe place to live, we're a place to find support, learn, and grow. One area that we've put increased focus on in recent years is financial literacy for our youth. A lot of our youth haven't had positive role models for money management, and many of them have poor credit or no credit at all. We provide an 8-hour curriculum on financial literacy to youth with groups throughout the year on topics like credit management, identity theft, banking, tax prep, and filing. Our staff helps youth develop a spending plan each week and provides monthly coaching around budgeting and saving. We monitor youth's credit scores monthly and help youth build and repair their credit. Our CPA accountant also teaches a session on tax preparation once a year. In terms of service to Maine Township residents, in our most recent fiscal year, we served 8 residents from Maine Township for a cumulative 1,129 days of care. With the average day of care costing about $182, this amounts to over $200,000 worth of services to Maine Township clients. And to date in our current fiscal year, we've served 4 clients for a cumulative 310 days of care. Our goal is to intervene at the start of homelessness to alter the path for youth experiencing housing instability. There's compelling data on both the immediate and long-term cost benefit of providing housing and supportive services to youth experiencing homelessness who are at higher risk of incarceration, physical and mental health issues, substance abuse issues, low educational attainment, and unemployment. Without our intervention, these youth may become chronically homeless, putting them on a course where they cycle in and out of hospital emergency rooms and inpatient beds, prisons, psychiatric facilities, and detox programs, none of which address the root cause of their homelessness. We're so grateful for our local community supporters like Maine Township that enable us to provide opportunities for these youth and to guide them on their path to self-sufficiency. Thank you.
Okay, I just had a couple of questions. So you're requesting this year, oh, there it is, right there. It's right there, 8,000, 2019.
Oh, I'm on the wrong thing.
Right,
Okay.
so, sorry. You said something about 8 clients was $200,000?
Yes, these clients are in our care 24 hours a day for up to 18 months, so it's a very intensive program.
Okay, which I guess leads me to my next question. Why don't you ask for more money? I mean, not that we're necessarily going to give it to you, but where does the other money come from?
We do receive funding from the federal government, Cook County, the state of Illinois, and we're also putting increased focus on generating revenue from private sources.
You had 86 unduplicated clients, so all of those 86 would be multiplied by $200,000. That would
On
be
average.
Your expenses?
So the housing that we provide, I think some of you have been to the shelter. I'm Chris Salyards, I'm the executive director. Good evening. And we have the shelter, which is a 10-bed facility, and kids come to us to the shelter through all walks of life, some through our partner agencies, CCBYS agencies, and some from just wherever they come from. And then we have our transitional living sites that we provide housing for, and then our apartments. So bricks and mortar can be very costly, but the cost is really the staffing. We provide 24/7 awake staff for our kiddos to make sure that we maintain safe properties and they have the constant guidance that they need. Our kids have curfews of some of them 1 o'clock in the morning, depending, and a lot of our kids work night shifts. So we're there to make sure that the doors open for them, the lights are on, and that they're safe and they're tucked into their beds where they need to be. And in our case management staff are all master's level clinical staff, licensable clinical staff. So they may be
psychologists
or social workers, one of the two. That's a requirement for them in terms of our case management because our kids require therapy, but not all of them are open to therapy yet. I have a young lady, for example, who's had a couple of incidents and we're just really trying to get her to go to a therapist. She's not comfortable yet, but she will talk to the clinical staff at the Harbor. So we maintain that master's level for that reason.
And this is only for women?
It's all young women, yes. Mm-hmm. We do provide in our parenting program, we do provide housing for unwed couples. We actually have a 17-year-old couple right now, and they're doing really well. But typically, we don't provide housing for the cisgender male because we can't co-house them. But also, it's really difficult to find landlords who will rent to our kids because our kids are competing for market rate housing because they don't qualify for other homeless programs. And it's really difficult to find a young woman a house. It's a very difficult task to find a young man.
Yeah, you and Miracle House are really So the age limit is 23?
The age limit for the shelter, it's a licensed DCFS facility, and so on their 21st birthday, they have to be in another setting because it's a DCFS rule.
They have to age out? Okay.
Yeah. But in our other programs, in our transitional living, we can serve them up to their 22nd birthday, and in the apartments, we can serve them until their 24th birthday. And that
3 steps. Okay.
And we learned about 4 years ago, we used to allow our young women to go 18 months in our congregate care settings and 18 months in apartment settings. And what we learned was only 10% of those kids were actually launching to their own apartments. So we did some program studies and we changed it so that they had to be looking for that next setting by the 6th month that they were in the program. And we've had a far greater success rate with kids moving into their own apartments. And my own baseless assumption is that it changed the way my staff think about kids and what the kids need.
Guys, too.
We would love to, but there's such a, when we talk about potentially opening a drop-in center, for example, that's on our list of expansion projects to open drop-in services. We've talked about should we serve young men. And since day one, we've been an all-female organization serving all young women. And that does change things quite a bit. And so I think we'd have to inch toward that.
And do you get referrals from places like CASA and Children's Advocacy? In other words, sex?
We actually belong to the Human Trafficking Task Force. And so we are evolving our programs. We're working alongside C'est La Freedom to sort of make sure that the shelter is meeting those needs of those kids. One of our longer-term goals would be to have a house for survivors, but you need a certain setup for those kids. So we want to make sure that we're providing the safest environment in the most undisclosed place possible. So we've been changing sort of our fabric as an organization to be more of the front and center in getting in front of that youth homelessness. We are the only provider in the northwest suburbs who is providing developmentally appropriate homeless youth services.
Yeah, so you're really geared homeless. I mean, this is really a niche that
it is homeless. And I'll tell you...
For women. I mean, this is a niche that is not filled by any other agency we do.
Right, it's us. And we are looking at opening parent support groups. I had a young woman in my shelter, and the parents said, we're done with her, we don't want her back, we're just done, we're over it. And so my rule is that you can say that, but you have to say it to me in my face and with your kids sitting in the room so we can talk about it. So I met with Dad, who was a puddle, and Mom, who was very stoic, and they talked about a lot of things that they were fed up with. And in that meeting, a lot of trauma came out onto the table. And we sort of helped Mom and Dad process through what she might be going through. And we're like, well, you're Team Kiddo. So if you want to see her have a successful life, then you need to be Team Kiddo all the way. And within 3 weeks, we had reunified that family. And Dad said, if you had just had a parenting support group, we would have never gotten to this point. And so we get these phone calls frequently about people who are like, we're just done, we've had it. And so we have a view to start launching those parent support groups in November. Because at the end of the day, a kid's place is with their family, and raising teenagers is no joke, especially in today with social media the way it is, and the vaping issues the way that they are, and peer pressure the way that it is, and cyberbullying. We could go on for days. And I said, well, we have a black belt in raising teenage girls, so we might as well share some of this knowledge with people who just feel like they're doing it all alone. And that's our prevention
really kudos to
strategy. So,
Is there a comparable agency for boys?
Yeah.
Connections for the Homeless in Evanston has a 4-bed transitional living facility, and then they have drop-in services, but the drop-in services are for adults primarily, but kids go there. And so we hope that by opening our drop-in services, we will be able to sort of ferret out some of those young women who really need our services so we can get them to the shelter and get them moving in the right direction. But, we've got several women right now who are all working, going to school. I have one young woman who's making more than my staff, and I'm like, please don't tell your staff what you make. Keep it a secret. That's adorable. Place with me. So we're very proud of what we do with our young women because we're creating tomorrow's tax.
We have to, invent a model for men. And I don't mean just the homeless part. The next step,
Well, by teaching these children.
Right, exactly.
You're actually changing
the fabric.
generation.
Yeah. To
You're
teach how
forming
to...
generation. Because they'll pass it on to
I did notice that you show special events of your budget is $1,108,000, which is commendable. But then it also shows on your budget membership, and I was trying to look up what the membership is $1,282,000. What is membership? Is that? Because I saw an overall budget $3,751,000, and I'm showing the special events would be you throw functions to generate donations and that type of thing.
So I have our special events as $180,000. What page are you on?
You actually net about 80,000 from your fundraisers on page 9.
I had the last page.
I don't believe that's our budget.
On the last page, is that an overall?
You're not in the right.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. I finished that one. I'm sorry. You're right.
So So the harbor we have an active strategy to try to expand our private donor base. As our application indicated, we are embarking on a capital campaign to rebuild our shelter, which is a very old farmhouse and doesn't necessarily meet our needs in the best way possible. It has some structural issues and some accessibility issues, and so we have a goal to rebuild that. We have a lead gift on that house as is. And so we're starting to evolve not only our points of contact with our community to raise awareness, but also to have special events that people can join in, like Such the Hustle, which is a very low ticket price, but really meant to inspire the community to think about homeless young women and expand that donor base in prep, not only for the capital campaign, but also because government funding is fickle. The state has had its issues. The feds have had their issues. And so we want to be sure that we're never talking about cutting off an arm of the agency because the feds are not supporting it. So we have a robust plan, an aggressive plan to really shift to become a community organization once again.
I do show that, that you have between individual contributions and special event raising, as I get back to my correct notes, is $251,000 out of your budget of $739,000, which is significant.
We have some great staff working with us.
There you go.
Chris, having had the opportunity to visit the shelter last month for the first time with Christina on the site visit, I got to say you're doing the best you can with the old building and everything to try to use all of those resources and make it a very comfortable place for the young women to be. And it's a very private site. I drove right past it when Nona was there. So I think you're accomplishing what you're trying to do to make it very comfortable in a very homey atmosphere.
Yeah, the house is well loved, and the kids tell us it's the best sleep they've had in a long time. So, that's the one thing we said about the new house is that it cannot look like an institution whatsoever, but it will have very different programming space. So that's the architect's challenge, not mine. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Harry Shevchak. Oh, thank you. And we are having an open house on October 18th from 5 to 7 p.m. If you want to come, we will have light nosh and be giving a brief presentation. It's 355 Northeast River Road. I'll be sure, Richard, to send it to you, and then you can send it out to others.
Sure.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, Terry and then Chris. Terry, I got the spell.
I didn't hear that.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. Again, my name is Karen Fay, and I'm the grants manager for the Center for Enriched Living. The Center for Enriched Living, or CEL, exists so that individuals with developmental disabilities can be included in the community, achieve personal success, and enjoy good quality of life. This year, in 2018, we are celebrating our 50th anniversary. Our programming began 50 years ago when two mothers of children with developmental disabilities asked a social worker for their children to be included in the social and community-based programs. Although it began specifically for children, young adults and adults were beginning to request their own programming, and there the Center for Enriched Living began. We refer to those who attend our programs as members because members know their interests, passions, hobbies, and areas they like to improve better than we do. I want you to think about your own life, or just what you did this morning, all the choices you had, from waking up, what time you woke up this morning, what you had for lunch, who you had conversations with. Many times our members do not have those options. At CEL, our members are continuously given options of daily choices, opportunities, and experiences. All of our programs address the three largest obstacles our members face, which is to reduce social isolation, provide post-school opportunities, and increased employment opportunities.
The first obstacle is to reduce social isolation. We offer programming of all kinds, day, afternoon, evening, weekend programs 7 days a week. We have no geographical location. We serve individuals from Chicago and 48 different communities. Our programs take place in our building in Riverwoods and in our new location, Hoffman Estates. We also provide programming in the community at local schools and in group homes. We serve both youth and adults. We have individuals who are as young as 13 and adults who are almost 90. 100% of our members have a developmental disability, and the majority are low income. Our programming is segmented in 4 different areas. We have a winter session, spring, summer, and fall. Some of our programs include Monday night bowling, Tuesday night arts, we have a supper at the center, Saturday and Sunday programs, karaoke night, teen-only programming, guys and ladies night out, and our summer camp. In addition to all these weekly classes, we host many social events, such as football parties, summer on the patio parties, St. Patrick's Day parties. We have 2 dances a year, Valentine's Day and then our Harvest Dance, which is actually coming up in a few weeks to celebrate Halloween. We also have excursions to Great America, pumpkin farms, Shed Aquarium, or dinner's night out. We also have vacations. Door County, Nashville, and St. Charles have been just a few of the weekend getaways that our members have been part of. The second obstacle our programming addresses is to provide post-high school learning and growth. When most families have children graduating from college, the families of our members are looking at a very different future. Individuals with developmental disabilities age out of the special education system at 22, and the possibility of continuing their education skills is very limited. We have an adult day program called Reach for Success for individuals 22 and older. The program is offered Monday through Friday. We have 2 locations, one in our Riverwoods building and one in Hoffman Estates, which is our new satellite site, which opened in September of 2017. The REACH program really focuses on the civic engagement and growing employment readiness, life skills, and social enrichment. The REACH program also includes cooking, book clubs, fitness, social groups, pet therapy, and basic computer skills, just to name a few. In addition, members in this program spend 70% of their time in the community learning about resources available through excursions, such as going to the Field Museum or volunteering at food pantries or delivering meals. And the third and final obstacle that our programming addresses is the 85% of unemployment rate for individuals with developmental disabilities. We started our individualized employment program in 2016. We know that with both education for both the employer and the employee, or our member, we can have a successful employment relationship. Some of our members are working at places such as CDW as a packer, custodian at Mariano's, and a server at Culver's. We really take the skills that our members have or the skills that they want to learn and place them and help them find a position that is interesting to them. We have strong connections in the community. We work with more than 80 different agencies, organizations, schools, and businesses throughout Chicagoland. We receive no state or federal funding and rely on support from the community for about 70% of our $3.7 million budget. We are requesting your support of our scholarship program for our members who reside in Maine Township. Last year, Maine Township residents received $14,000 from CEL in scholarships for programs. We currently have 39 Maine Township members with approximately 12,000 program hours. We have 3 members that are in our Reach Adult Day program, and we also have members from Maine Township in all of our programs, including our summer camp. Before I open it up to any questions, I welcome you to come and see firsthand what impact you're making in the community. Thank you again for having me here tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
One I wanted to note, that's what I was commenting earlier, the percentage of what you receive from membership, is that a fee that's charged for those who are participating? Is that
Correct. So all of our programs do have a fee. We pay, the charge is about $8 to $10 per hour. We have a scholarship fund, which is right now, every year it's been going up. It's about $120,000 that we have set aside to help families who are in need, to provide that support for all families who want to attend the programs.
And I also note that your special events at $1,108,000 in your budget is just a very significant portion of your your total income and expenses. It's very impressive.
Thank you. So we have two large fundraisers. The first is our Chef's Night, which is in May, where we have about 700 individuals come to the Lincolnshire Marriott, and they get to taste about 30 different vendors who are there. And then our second fundraiser event is in August, which is our golf outing.
What is Giving Tuesday, by the way?
Giving Tuesday is becoming more of a national giving after the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And so it's a big push for individuals during that annual appeal for most nonprofits. When you're thinking about starting the holidays, the Giving Tuesday is kind of that push to support your local nonprofit or a nonprofit that you think highly of. Any other questions? No? Well, thank you again for having me here tonight.
Thank you.
And
great presentation.
we appreciate all you do for us.